Hey Key Clubbers, my name is Suvir Copparam and I'm your district treasurer for this year. First, I'd like to apologize for not being able to attend your rally in person today, but I do hope that these videos will effectively guide you through the process and your duties as club treasurers. So, without further ado, let's get started. So, beginning with the essential duties of the club treasurer, you guys are entrusted with the financial management of the club. So what this entails is essentially budgeting at the beginning of the year, which I do encourage you hold a meeting with your club and your club officers, advisor, and someone from your sponsoring Kiwanis club. And basically what you're going to want to do is run through all your projected expenses for the year and your projected revenue. So that entails dues, which you will charge on top of the district and international dues for your club as revenue, primarily any fundraisers you might have. And then expenses include things like t-shirts, snacks, and just things that ensure your club can function. So then you'll probably end up asking ASB for some funds. So that's when you're going to want to use this budget, and it also just helps your club track funds in general. Next is member registration and dues collection. So this is done online through the Membership Update Center, which I'll get into shortly. And next is transparency, which is something that I, as district treasurer, I'm trying to institute from the district level down through the club level this year, because in the past I have seen that transparency and messages from the district get lost as we try to push that out to the members. So one thing that I really want you guys to keep in mind is this idea of transparency, making sure your members know exactly where their club, district, and international dues are going, so they have valid reason to pay their dues. How can we expect members to pay dues if they don't even know where the money is being used and whether it's a valid use of their funds? So finally is just general financial responsibility and knowledge, and that's just so that if a member asks you a general question, you can respond in an educated manner and just ensure that you have thorough knowledge of the district, Key Club International, and just the functioning of your club and the sponsoring Kiwanis. So if anyone comes to you with questions, you can be sure to respond to them. So moving into the MUC, or Membership Update Center, this is essentially a membership database across all of Key Club International. And it actually is used by the entire K family in general, but we obviously focus on the PNW district of Key Club. And it'll enable you and your club to build a living roster that I ask you as the club treasurer to update twice through this year. And I'll get into explaining exactly why I want you to update it twice. But again, it enables you to build this living roster, track all your membership from year to year, so Key Club International can charge you appropriately for the amount your club owes in dues. So that's $7 for international dues and $5.50 for district dues. So how do you access the MUC? So starting from keyclub.org, you will click on Dues and Reports, which will open up this screen. And obviously you want to proceed to click Access the Membership Update Center now. Then you're going to be taken to the login screen, and this is the first challenge, if you will. Essentially, the login information is passed down from year to year. And the email is typically your advisor's email, and the password, like I said, is passed down. So you can either ask your advisor or the previous treasurer for that information. So just reiterating what I said, the login information is going to be passed down from year to year, typically your advisor's email and a password. The MUC is used to update your club roster and track membership from year to year, and the MUC is ultimately used to submit dues. And there are two methods you can use to submit dues, the first of which is much easier and quicker, and I encourage this if you have the option to do this. That is to pay online by credit card, but I do understand that some schools cannot proceed in this manner because of school district regulations or just rules from your school, and that's perfectly understandable. It's just going to take you a little bit more time. So as the club treasurer, it is incredibly important that you guys get started early on paying dues and that first membership update. I'll explain the exact logistics of that in 1 or 2 slides. But the second option is obviously to pay by mail. And you will use a hard copy of your roster, the printed invoice presented to you by the MUC, and a check. Something important to note is that you cannot pay by purchase order, and basically what that is an IOU from a school. So Key Club International and the district have made it very clear that it is essential that clubs submit dues by check or by credit card, just so that the money is instantly transferred. The problem with paying by purchase order is that the money isn't available instantly for use by the district or by Key Club International. And as a nonprofit organization, it's really important that we get that money as soon as possible so we can implement it and make sure that the organization stays strong. So once you log into the MUC, you're going to get this welcome screen, and you're going to want to click on Membership Update Center, which will take you to the dashboard. So there are 3 tabs in this section, which are the dashboard, members, and finances. So basically just an overview of this page is just basic officer information that you can update for your own use, and just so Key Club International has better understanding of your club if they do need to refer to it later. Yeah. So I skipped over the members tab, but essentially that is where you're going to upload that roster, and you're just going to enter every member's information, and this is going to involve really close work with your club secretary, who is expected to take attendance and minutes at each meeting. So once you get a list of those members, you can load that onto the MUC and make sure that all your members submit their dues to your school's financial secretary or bookkeeper. That's typically the easiest way to go about collecting dues, and it's just very clean. So so no money can get lost, and every member is held accountable for his or her dues. So once you upload that information into the MUC on that living roster, the MUC is going to charge you and detail this invoice for you, so you know exactly how much your club owes in dues to Key Club International and the district, so you can submit that. If you choose to charge dues on top of the district and international dues, you're just going to hold on to those club dues for your club, so you can use that. Typically, $3 to $5 is charged on top of the $7 international dues and $5.50 district dues. And that covers expenses like t-shirts and food for club meetings. So then you're going to want to submit those dues to Key Club International using one of the 2 methods that I mentioned earlier, mail and credit card. So now I'm going to explain to you exactly where your dues are implemented. So starting with Key Club International, the $7 supports international programs. So up until this year, those 50 cents of every $7 dues went into a program called the International Youth Opportunity Fund, and this is a grant awarded to several clubs each year to fund and power their own service project. And I'll get into the applications shortly, but that was one use of international dues until this year. Next is international board travel and meetings. So this is incredibly essential to the functioning of a large organization like Key Club, and a lot of your dues does go towards funding the international board. And the purpose of the international board is to coordinate our efforts as an organization, so we can pursue things like the Eliminate Project and trick-or-treating for UNICEF and the KCCP in a uniform way. So that really bolsters our fundraising, and by no means do I think that accomplishing our fundraising goals would have been possible without the iBoard, because they keep Key Club connected from district to district, and I think that's one thing that makes Key Club really unique. So next is the Key Club magazine, the website, and other publications. So this is another huge expense for Key Club International, particularly the Key Club magazine. So the Key Club magazine is really important in connecting the districts, like I mentioned earlier, like the iBoard does. But to districts like the Jamaica districts and the Bahamas, where internet access and online publications just aren't as receptive as they are in the PNW and other districts in the mainland USA, the Key Club magazine does serve as that connector between Key Club International and the members. So that's why I think the magazine still is indispensable, but hopefully within the near future, we'll be able to move towards full online publications like we've done in our district. So next is membership cards and officer advisory resources. So this is pretty straightforward. As paying members, you are entitled to the resources of being a Key Club member. First is membership cards, next are just general resources. So I do understand that some clubs have not been receiving these regularly, even though they do submit dues. So if this pertains to you, please feel free to contact me and we will definitely sort that out so you guys get the resources that you guys are paying for. And finally is the liability insurance, which protects Key Club from any damages that may occur while members are volunteering. And that's why dues are really essential, because without paying your dues, you really can't be considered a Key Clubber or a Key Club in general. So here is a graphic detailing exactly where international dues are being spent. This is available online for your reference, but just touching on it a little bit, the magazine does compose the largest expense for Key Club International as of today. Additional literature and general mailing does compose another large set of expenses. And beyond that, it's just all those resources, the iBoard like I mentioned, and different Key Club programs. So now getting into district dues. This is actually really exciting. This year we were able to develop our first ever district budget and push that public. If you guys would like to get a look at that and just better understand where your district dues are being spent, please contact me. I do have the budget available and I would be glad to explain exactly all our expenses to you. But just touching on this because we are at a bit of a time constraint, the district dues support district programs, and what that means is the district board, including travel and board meetings, district officer resources, so we developed these and they're all available on our website pnwkeyclub.org. Please check those out. This whole video will actually be available under the Treasures tab within the next few weeks. And finally, just the website and publications. So up until last year, the Espresso, our district publication, was distributed half by print and half online. So that was another huge expense for our district. But because we were able to move completely online last year and it was effective, we're continuing with that in this year and future years. So that'll definitely cut down some expenses for the district. And once we are a little bit more steady with budgeting and expenses, we should be able to implement either new district programs or just bring down. And just going over the district board once again, this is basically like I mentioned the international board. The district board is really important to the functioning of our district in coordinating our fundraising efforts. Fundraising for the Eliminate project. We have set that $75,000 fundraising goal this year, and by no means would that be reachable without a district board to coordinate those efforts, to design merchandise and order that merchandise and distribute it, to plan rallies like this so you guys as officers are trained to perform your jobs really well, and just making things more exciting. Like our district convention would not be possible without a district board, I assure you. Well, perhaps on a smaller scale, but that's all the fun of district convention. So that basically covers the basics of district dues. There are a lot of administrative costs as well, including supplies, things like that. So just summarizing the budget, the budget is balanced to match the revenue, which is slightly under $100,000 each year. And the revenue is generated from district dues and board member registration for board meetings. So the expenses are inflated just to ensure that we as a district never lose money. This is our first budget in several years, so it obviously is a work in progress, but I definitely want to thank our district administrator, Brian Egger, and our district finance administrator, Mike Wallace, for really developing this budget. It's done really well, and I'm excited to see what comes in the future, because this is just a stepping stone to a more financially sound district. And in the future, I do believe that our district can implement new programs like a district youth opportunity fund, like the New York and Florida districts have, among other things. So currently, we are in the process of finding last year's expenditure reports, which will be used to find where money can be saved in the future. So now that I've explained to you where your dues are going, I'm going to tell you exactly how to pay dues. So just summarizing what I mentioned earlier, district dues are $5.50, international dues are $7, which brings you to a total of $12.50 to collect from each member. This amount of dues is intended to be submitted for each member in a bulk payment to Key Club International. And then Key Club International will send us our portion of the revenue, so those $5.50 per member. Once you collect dues by working with your bookkeeper and your club secretary, you're going to want to enter all the member information into MUC. That way, the exact amount of dues that you have collected can be charged. And then you're going to pay by credit card or mail and copy an invoice for your own records. So if that payment isn't processed within, let's say, 2 months or just 1 month, you do have a copy of the invoice and you know that you have submitted your dues, so you can confront Key Club about it and ensure that your needs are met. So like I mentioned, I want you guys as club treasurers to make 2 updates into the MUC. So the first I expect in around mid-November or the end of October if you'd like to make the early bird deadline. So this is to ensure that your club retains active status within Key Club International and submits that first payment of dues. So what comes with being an early bird club? You get better decon seating first, and an award, and you're more likely to win the Distinguished Club Treasurer Award. Your club is more likely to win the Distinguished Club Award, obviously. And Key Club International will send you a patch to attach to your banner, basically saying that you submitted your dues early. So next, I want you to make a second payment in mid-January when your membership has completely settled. So because you've already made that first payment, your club retains that active status, and that's the important part of all this, because the deadline is December 1st, and there is a 60-day grace period after which dues are still kind of collected and things are just not, there isn't a harsh punishment if you don't submit your dues by December 1st. But 60 days after that deadline, your club will become suspended. Which brings me to the next slide. What happens if you don't submit dues? Severe consequences! Anyways, bad joke aside, if you don't submit dues, your club will first become suspended, and if you still don't pay dues, your club will become inactive. So clubs are suspended 60 days after December 1st, like I mentioned, and they are reactivated if the dues are simply submitted before the MUC opens for the next year. So technically, those 10 suspended clubs that we have this year are still suspended until the MUC opens again in mid-September. We just consider them inactive as a district because once summer starts, it's really hard to get a club to pay dues. There is some kind of turnover in officers and members, and just it's hard for members to submit dues if they don't have a school to go and submit these dues. So once a club becomes inactive, and this is what we really try to avoid, a club must pay a $100 reactivation fee in addition to their dues, and their charter is suspended. So once a club goes inactive, it's really hard to reactivate them. But that $100 reactivation fee is much smaller than a chartering fee. So that's why we really like to encourage clubs to maintain that active status, because I mean, it's very likely that members in the future students in the future will want to have a Key Club. And just maintaining an active club is much more affordable and less of a hazard or a procedure than charting a new club from scratch in a school that's already had a key club. So just moving into my closing notes, I do encourage all of you to apply for the Distinguished Treasure Award at District Convention. The deadline is basically your decon registration, which I believe is in mid-January or mid-February this year. Next, the Youth Opportunities Fund. I encourage all of you guys and your clubs to look into this and see if it's something that you guys are interested in, because it is something that's offered as a program from Key Club International, and it's just something really nice that you can do to involve your whole club and just make an impact on your community, which is always the end goal, right? So I told you I'd get into more specifics of the Youth Opportunity Fund. So as promised, the YOF is basically a grant that powers small service projects. So you as a club can submit an application detailing your planned service project and the exact budgeting for that event or that service project, like I said. A common example is a club a couple years ago requested a certain amount of money to buy books so that they could buy those books, take them into a local preschool, and read to the kids. And the real reason why that project was funded in full by Key Club International, in addition to just how impactful it was the clear detail that that club went into on their application. You know, the costs were all listed very clearly, and it was obvious that that club was going to pursue that project whether it was funded in full by Key Club International or not. So I do encourage you guys to put thought into those applications. Obviously, you can send those to me to take a look at, help you guys give you feedback before you turn those into Key Club International. Next, we do have a new administrative team. Our district administrator, Brian Egger, our finance administrator, Mike Wallace, and our assistant district administrator, Karina Sekon, have been amazing and really assisting us key clubbers in the development of the budget and just establishing a new vision for our district in the coming years. Next, be sure to check out our first executive newsletter and the Espresso, which is our district publication, on Issue, which is what we as a district have been using to manage our publications, especially once we've moved online for publishing the Espresso and our other publications. And basically what these publications are quarterly newsletters, which just give you guys as members and officers news about the district ongoings, and they're just really fun to read as well. I actually wasn't completely aware of them until I became a club officer, and I really wish I could have seen how the Espressos change from year to year. So definitely take a look at those. Next, officer resources are available on our website, pnwkeyclub.org. You might be watching this video on our website actually. And yeah. And this video is just one of many resources. There are folders and folders of resources not only for you as a treasurer, but for your club in general. So there are resources for things like YOF. There are resources for club secretaries, presidents, and vice presidents. And just fundraising, things like that. So I'm sure you've heard me mention dues, pnwkeyclub.org, and things like that a lot in this presentation. But one thing I also want you to take note of is the following email address, which is memberservices@kiwanis.org. And this is the email that really troubleshoots anything with the MUC. So if you guys do have problems with logging on or managing your dues payment, please contact me. But if it is a direct issue pertaining to not receiving your membership card, things like that, I'm typically going to contact these guys. So if you would like to skip that extra step, please feel free to contact them on your own. But I'm here to assist you, so always contact me if you have an issue, and I'll be more than happy to help you. And that takes me to the last slide. This is my contact information. I hope this presentation has been helpful to all of you, and like I said, please feel free to contact me if you have any questions or concerns. and or if you just want to talk, add me on Facebook and other social media, and I love talking to you guys. So thank you. I hope you have a wonderful day and enjoy the rest of your summer. Good luck.